Welcome everyone. My name is Tennille McInnes and I'm the Business Awards Manager. I would firstly like to acknowledge the Wadawurrung traditional owners of the land upon which we gathered here virtually, and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people who are part of the Greater Geelong community. And we pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. Thank you again for coming along to today's information session. I have on our speaking panel Simon Flowers, who is our Chair of Judging, Rob Hunter, our Deputy Chair, and Jess Anderson, who is from Crew Faced Makeup Artistry and is our Hall of Fame inductee. So Jess has actually won multiple awards of the Geelong Business Excellence Awards. Okay, firstly, I would just like to acknowledge our major sponsor, LBW. And also our category sponsors. The awards simply would not be possible without their support. So thank you so much. And also to our award partners. Okay, so today's session, we are going to go through why you should enter, who can enter the awards. We'll run through the different award categories, the judges, the business entry criteria, the site visit. We'll also talk a little bit about the individual award and the interview process, how to enter. We'll hear some general tips, and we'll also hear from Jess from her experience, some of the key dates. And of course, we'll allocate time for any questions. Because this is a webinar, we do ask that you type your questions into the Q&A section at the bottom of your screen. So please start typing away and we'll certainly answer those questions at the end. Okay, so why enter the awards? Well, as you can tell by the video at the very start, the awards is a massive celebration. It's a celebration of your business excellence, of your achievements, and most importantly, of your staff. And also it's a big thank you to your family and friends. There are so many PR opportunities if you're shortlisted as a finalist and if you're lucky enough to become a winner. But most importantly, the awards give you an opportunity to stop and reflect on your business operations. By completing the entry criteria, you take a deep dive into your business and you discover what you're really doing well, but also you may uncover some areas that you may need to improve on. Ultimately, everyone walks away with a mini business plan, and you get to receive valuable feedback from an independent judging panel. It's also an incredible networking opportunity. So who can enter the awards? The awards is open to a business that resides in the Geelong, the Bellarine, Surf Coast, Queenscliff, or Golden Plains area, and is within 40 kilometres from the Geelong city centre. A business could also be a franchise or an organisation, a private or commercial business, a fully funded government organisation, including a training or educational organisation. A business can also be open to not-for-profit organisations. There is a change to the awards this year. We are no longer allowing departments of businesses to enter. However, subsidiaries are eligible to enter. There are 20 award categories, and those categories can be split into a couple of areas. The first one is it can be based on the size of your business. And that's determined by the number of employees. So for example, if you're a sole trader or a smaller business of between 1 to 3 employees, we have the home-based and micro business award. And following on from that, we have the Small Business Award and the Medium to Large Business Award. We also have some industry-specific awards as well. So there is the Retail Business Award, as an example, the Advanced Manufacturing and Industry Award, and also the Tourism and Hospitality Award. And then also we have some specialty awards like Customer Service, Digital Engagement, Innovation, Research and Development. There's no doubt there is a particular category that would be suitable for your business. We also have some individual awards. The first one is the Business Leader of the Year and also the Young Entrepreneur of the Year. And the Young Entrepreneur of the Year is open to business professionals between the ages of 18 and 40 years of age. And the most celebrated award is, of course, the Business of the Year. A common question I am asked is, what award should I enter in? It's a very simple answer. You should enter as many awards as possible. And if there is an award that the judges felt that you should have entered, but you didn't, they will automatically enter you. This year, we have 19 incredible judges who are part of the awards program, and they're all very successful individuals in their own right. The judges come from different industries, from small, medium, and large businesses. Some are retired, and some are actively working in their business. All of the judges are required to sign a confidentiality agreement, which ensures privacy and confidentiality. They're not to disclose any part of your entry to anyone. All the judges also need to declare their conflict of interest. This means they are not allowed to judge another business who is in the same industry as them, or as a competitor, a family, a friend, or a client. As I introduced earlier, we have the Chair of Judging, Simon Flowers, and the Deputy Chair, Robert Hunter, on the line. And it is their role and responsibility to make sure that the process is followed. The awards, to commence entering the awards, you do need to complete an online written entry, and that accounts to 50% of your score. The online entry includes a business summary and 5 core key criteria. And the word limit is 2,500 words. We do give you a guide on the number of words per entry, which is per criteria, which is around 40 to 450 words. But I really do want to emphasize that each of the criteria carry the same weight. In terms of attachments, you're able to attach documents, graphs, and so forth. Generally, the attachments are included in your word count, except for descriptions of graphs or photos. We also require your business logo and also your team photo. And that team photo will be used by the awards team on the night of the presentation evening, and also in media releases and on social media platforms. The online entry process is based on your business operations between the 1st of April and the 31st of May. There is only one question where you're able to reflect on the past 3 years, and we will go through that very shortly. I would now like to hand over to Simon Flowers, our Chair of Judging, who will talk about how to write a winning written entry. Over to you, Simon.
Thanks, Tennille. Well done to everyone for logging on to today's session, and I'm sure that you'll get a lot out of entering the awards. So, writing a winning entry, there's obviously 20 awards that you can go after. And there's no right or wrong way to actually write these entries. What we do ask is for what do you do, who do you do it for, what happens as a result. When you're making a statement like an employer of choice, we really want you to provide some evidence. We hear that statement a fair bit, and if you can back it up with some evidence, then it really helps the judges to actually demonstrate and provide you with the score that you should get. We want to know how different you are to your competitors. The judges, when they're looking at the written entries, won't look at your website, so don't assume that we're going to do that. And to become a finalist, as Tennille talked about, you need to have a well-considered response to all the 5 criteria equally. The first question that we go through is business achievements. And Tennille talked about one question being where you can talk about the last 3 years, and this is the question. So the question for the last 3 years is describe your business achievements over the last 3 years. What have you done in your business? What did you set out to do 3 years ago, and how have you measured it, and what have you done? So here we're talking about achievements such as awards or new capital expenditure or new premises or financial achievements like I've increased our gross profit margin or a net profit margin, or we've increased our sales. You've reorganized the business. You compare yourself against your industry and you're outperformed the industry. It might be the case that you're still in business and some of your competitors are out of business. So a whole variety of different achievements that you've achieved over the last 3 years. Now, when we're talking about achievements here, we don't want to see dollar figures. Don't tell us that dollar sales or dollar profits or all that sort of stuff. All we're after here is percentages. So say, well, we've grown by 10% or our net profit's grown by 15%. Whatever it is, just use percentages, please. There are 2 different awards that you can use under this criteria, the Innovation Award and Sustainable Business Award. So we want you to also answer 2 additional questions under business achievements. One is, what is your innovative practices that you've introduced? It might be new or improved goods or services, processes, new marketing methods, new way to do business, a whole variety of different things. The third question is about describing your sustainability environmental initiatives and accomplishments. So again, what have you done in relation to energy efficiency, water conservation, circular economies, positive outcomes to the environment? It might be solar panels, it might be a variety of different things. If you're trying to win the Innovation or Sustainability Award, then you probably need to beef up the questions or the words that you use in these questions. So it might be the case that Tennille talked about 4 to 450 words. It might be the case that you might have to use 750 words in this question if you're trying to win one of those awards. If you're not trying to win these awards, then you still need to answer the question. So you still need to talk about what innovation you've done, what sustainability you've done. Just don't waste too many words on it if you're not trying to win those awards. I will hand over now to Rob and Jess if they've got anything to add in for business achievements.
Yeah, just probably actually one of the main things I always sort of say is it's actually the Business Excellence Awards, not just business awards. So we really want to know what you're doing differently, what you're doing over and above just a normal business to show us what you're doing in excellence. That's my biggest takeaway, I think.
Okay, so the second criteria is 2 parts. One part is about your target market. The first part is in relation to your approach to marketing, including digital marketing. And obviously we have the Digital Engagement Award that you can win. So I sort of start off with your target market. So the judges want to know who your target market is. And I always use an example of a nail bar, which is one of the first visits that I actually did about 15 years ago. And the nail bar owner had actually, I was expecting that it's females in Geelong region. They've got enough money to buy nail polish and go to the nail bar. But she'd actually broken it down into distinct ages of different clientele. So it might be the teenagers, it might be the females, and then it might be the older, more mature females, and a variety of different breakdowns. And then she actually had polish for each of those target markets as well. So, and then she clearly marketed to those distinct clientele as well. So she had a very clear idea of what her target market was and what she was trying to achieve through her marketing. That's about your target market and how you engage with those targets. The first thing is your approach to marketing. So how do you engage with your clients? How do you implement your marketing plan and your strategy? Do you have a strategy? Your target markets, what sort of campaigns do you undertake? Do you plan, do, check, and react? What sort of advertising do you do? Do you do sponsorships? Do you do any apprenticeships or traineeships? What sort of digital marketing do you do as well? So a variety of different marketing, and the judges are quite happy to read about an approach where you've taken an approach, it didn't work, and you've pivoted and did something else. So we're all not going to get it right the first time. So happy to hear about a variety of different things that you've undertaken. Again, Rob and Jess, anything to add from a marketing point of view?
Yeah, I think at the heart, the biggest thing is like people put in their actually marketing plans, or they say we do social media, but we want to know, okay, what do you do, how you measured it, and how you've changed, because did that work or did it not work? It's no good actually just saying, oh, we do social media, and then you do nothing with it, or you don't actually measure it at all. So we want to know what you did, what you got out of it, and how you changed the business to pivot or something from that to use that worked really, really well.
Customer service. So customer service is 3 questions in customer service, and there are 3 distinct awards that you can win customer service. Now, everyone has to answer the customer service question, so therefore everyone's eligible to win the customer service award. And then there's 2 other awards, being the Inclusive and Accessible Business Award and the Corporate Social Responsibility Award. So the first part to customer service is describing your approach to customer service. What's the firm's or your business philosophy to customer service? How do you do it? How do you try and get your staff to do it? How do you measure it? Do you have examples of improvements in customer service? Do you do surveys or mystery shoppings, or try and get some feedback? How do you cultivate your service standards? Do you provide your staff with any staff recognition for good customer service? How do you handle complaints? How do you turn those clients that are maybe problem clients, and maybe you turn them into really loyal clients? How do you go about that process? Do you measure performance in relation to customer service? How do you acknowledge positive feedback in relation to customer service? A whole variety of different things that we're trying to get you to think about from a customer service point of view. The second part is in relation to inclusiveness and accessibility. So what's your social inclusions policies and practices within your business? What sort of communication or access do you have in relation to inclusiveness and accessibility? What sort of physical accessibility do you have within your business? Are people able to easily get into your business premises? Do you follow any universal design guidelines in relation to accessibility? what sort of stuff's available from that point of view. The third part is about corporate social responsibility. And again, we're not after dollar figures. So don't tell us we have made a donation of 20 grand or something to not-for-profit XYZ. So what we're after here is what sort of contribution do you make to the community? It may be dollars, it may be time. Who do you support? Why do you support them? What groups are you aligned with? What social inclusions do you have within your business? Do you support the local community? Do you have traineeships, apprenticeships? Use local suppliers? Whole variety of different things from a corporate social responsibility point of view. Hand over to the other judges.
Yeah, I think customer service is such an important area. And I remember reading an application or an entry probably years ago. And what they found was their target market was actually, they'd ring actually after hours. So what they did was they'd actually implement that after between 5 and 11 o'clock at night, they would always answer the phone and always within 3 rings. And you went, well, okay, they've worked out their target market rings at that time. So they went outside the normal business hours to make sure they had the phones answered right up to 11 o'clock at night. So just a little bit different.
Thanks, Rob. And that business actually won an award one year, I think, from memory. So the next criteria is people and culture. Again, it's 3 parts to this question. There's a couple awards that can be won. And so the first one is outline your business strategies. So this is the strategies in relation to your people and culture. So we want you to describe what your culture's like, how it's embedded within your organization. Describe your management structure and how you communicate and stay connected with your staff. What sort of recruitment processes do you have? What sort of staff training and development? Do you do performance reviews or appraisals of your staff? Do you have any staff incentives or rewards or benefits that the staff get? Do you have position description and employment agreements? Whole variety of different things that you do from a people and culture point of view. The second part of the question is about practices to support a workplace culture focused on health and well-being. So here we want you to talk about how you model your commitment to health and well-being for your employees. How is management involved in that? How do you communicate with your staff? Do you have activities that talk about things like health and well-being? Do you have resources available to your staff? Do you do webinars? Do you provide time to go for a walk? Do you provide different things from a health and well-being point of view for your staff? The third question is about health and safety for employees and clients. How do you protect your staff? How do you protect your clients? What sort of OH&S do you do from a risk mitigation point of view? What sort of procedures and safety reporting do you do? So a variety of different things. Again, if you're trying to win some of these awards, then you probably need to beef up the questions a little bit. So if you're really after the Safe and Healthy Award, then you probably need to use some of your word limit in this question. One question we typically get asked is that I'm a micro business or I'm a small business with very little employees. How can I answer this question in relation to not having many employees? So in that case, we would answer it in a way that what have you done in relation to keeping yourself up to date? What have you done in relation to supporting and training yourself in relation to your business and also other things? Example I use, I went and did a visit of a photographer and he said, yes, I could have done extra training in relation to how to use my camera and different lighting and a whole variety of different things. But he decided to go do a zero course because he wanted to get a bit of an idea of his own finances in addition to his normal sort of business. So that was a great opportunity for him to describe to us how he's provided some extra skills and support to himself and developed himself. So if it's just you, tell us about how you do it from yourself point of view. If you've got staff, then let's talk about the staff things as well. Anything from Jess or Rob?
Yeah, I think this is a ripper question at the moment. And actually, I think so many businesses coming out of COVID, really tight employment market. There is some great things that businesses are doing out there and really different things at the moment. And we want to hear them. And I think people sort of don't realize what they have done and are doing in their businesses at the moment, especially coming out of COVID. So great question to really put some thought into what you're doing.
Okay, so we come to the last criteria, which is finance. And again, I reiterate that we actually don't want to see confidential financial data. So all we're after here is, again, percentages. So this is 3 parts. There's a new part to this question, which we've never done before, which is the second part and the table. So the first thing that we want you to do is outline your financial management procedures. So what sort of procedures and policies do you undertake to make sure that you understand your budgeting process, your cash flow management, any stock control that you may have? Do you have any debt management ideas or reinvestment or capital expenditure budgets? Do you have any KPIs for your business? How do you use a computer system to look after your finances? Do you meet with your accountant or bookkeeper or financial controller regularly? How do you manage your debtors and creditors? So this question's all about your financial management skills and not about the performance of the business. So we typically find that this question has been answered fairly poorly in the past. And it might be that it's just a case of people have run out of words and finance is the last question. So to help the judges a little bit more, we've asked you to complete the table. Now, all we're after is the percentage. So when you answer the question, you just say gross profit margin percentage. We don't want to see the dollar figures that you calculate to get to it. All we're after is the percentage. Now, we're actually not going to use the percentages for anything. All we're trying to do is get an understanding that you actually know what your gross profit margin is. We want to know what's that you can calculate your liquidity or solvency ratio and what your return of total assets are. So it's trying to get you guys to actually think about what are these margins, what are these KPIs that I should set up and monitor on a regular basis. The third part of this question is about risks. So what are the major risks to your business and how do you mitigate those risks? And it could be the case that some of your risks are in relation to competitors. They might be in relation to market shifts or, as we saw during COVID, supply chain issues. Might be in relation to staff, might be in relation to your premises or major equipment, IT, it might be a variety of different things. So what are the major 3 or 4 risks to your business and how have you mitigated those risks? It might be good employment agreements, it might be long-term leases on premises, it might be really good IT facilities, and it might be some insurances and a variety of different things. So essentially that's what we're after. Rob, do you want to add anything to this one?
Yeah, I think arguably this is probably one of the most important questions in there, and everybody leaves it to last and forgets to fill it all out or something, and it is Simon's favourite. So, and realistically, you will be surprised how many people get to this question. They go, "We use an accountant and we have 0." Now, we do want more than that. We want you to actually think about what you're doing in your business and show us a little bit more of these things like your risk and your practices and what you do and your KPIs in those type of things. It's really important. And I think filling out this question gets all the business owners or the business people who are doing it to really think about what they're doing in their business and how they can change. It's a really good question.
So the site visits is something that follows the written entry. So if you complete your written entry and the judges mark that entry, they give you a written entry score. The judges will then decide based on those scores how many finalists we'll have and who those finalists are. Tennille will then call you and say, congratulations, you're a finalist. And we've booked in your site visit between the 14th of August to the 13th of September. You will then receive 2 judges who will come along to the visit. They will rescore your entry. And obviously you can show them more things than what you can fit into the 2,500 words. And then you'll get a rescore, which will count towards 50% of your total score. So as I said here, that you can provide the evidence that you couldn't provide within the written score. So if you've got a marketing plan or you've got some really good policy and procedures or really good websites, you can show us around your premises. There's a variety of different things that you can do at the site visit. And I think we'll have another session for those finalists to talk about what you can actually do at those site visits. But it's very important that the judges really want to go through your 5 criteria again, and then you can add in any extra things. So start with question 1 and finish with finance in question 5. We also have the 2 individual awards, as Tennille talked about. So the Business Leader of the Year and the Young Entrepreneur of the Year. So we'll start with the Business Leader. It's 3 questions that you need to answer. It's an additional 1,500 word count that you'll need to do. We also need a copy of CV and a photo. If you're a finalist for these awards, then we're doing the interviews on that date on your screen. So for a business leader, we want you to provide an overview of yourself, including a brief description of your leadership qualities, achievements, and skills. What are your key leadership strengths? And what leadership skills do you think you've significantly developed over the last 5 years, and how did you do this? The other award that you can enter if you're between 18 and 40 is the Young Entrepreneur of the Year. So again, it's the same word count, same copy of CV and photo. We're after here is provide an overview of yourself, including a brief description of your leadership qualities, achievements, and skills. Outline any challenges you've faced and how you've overcome these, and describe your key strengths as an entrepreneur. If you're 42 years old, you can't enter this award. You can enter the Business Leader Award. So this one's the only one that's got that age limit to it. So the judges have outlined some general tips for entrance, and people can write their entry in a variety of different ways. Jess and Rob are both past winners and past entrants, so they can actually tell you how they actually did it. But one of the suggestions is to write a section each day and finish off the business summary. One point that I raise is that, I'd go through each of the 5 criteria and write the top 10 points for each question. Now, you won't be able to fit all 10 in, but if you can get 7 or 8 in and leave a couple for the site visit. One suggestion that Tennille's raised is save all your answers in a Word document. It's always good to have a backup, and she'll talk about that later on. Another thing that I've put forward is that I always like to read an entry that's got bullet point answers. It's not a thesis. You don't need slabs of writing. And it also, bullet points also cut out some of your word count, which means you can fit more stuff in. As I said before, if you're going to make a statement, back it up with evidence, validate your statements with graphs and stats and KPIs and industry benchmarks. Question one's really good for tables and graphs. Well-considered answer for all the entry criteria will give you a great result. If you need help in relation to writing, then you can get staff to help you write it. You can ask Keneal to provide any people who can help from a writing point of view. And if you're a first-time entrant, you can also use the review service that Keneal will talk about as well.
Thank you, Simon. And Jess, you're on the line at the moment. Jess, as a past winner of the program, would you be able to share some of your tips about entering the awards and why you think it's worth the investment of your time?
Absolutely. I wish I could say, you know, here's an award-winning entry and extend from that. But for me, that absolutely wasn't the case. As I entered every year, I went into it with fresh eyes and I rewrote my application from the start. And how I did that was I went in very early and started my application early. And I went in quite heavily at the start with my socials. And what that gave me was a snapshot over the past year about what we'd celebrated, what we'd introduced, what we had launched, changes that we had made to the business, and then heavily relied on the team as well. And it can be anonymous as well to say, what are we doing well, or where would you like to see growth, or how can we better support you? So that addressed all 5 areas of the criteria, and I was able to start building up my bullet points from there. And before you know it, you're trying to scale back and get your entry into the 2,500 word count and park the rest of it, I guess, for your presentation to the judges. It's absolutely worth your time. It gives you a roadmap moving forward for the year ahead, and I'm still invested in this process myself, and go back to a lot of these tips and points from the judges just in exploring my own business and decisions that we're making to grow and support my business moving forward.
Amazing. Thank you, Jess. I might come back to you shortly. I'll go through to the next section, but just a reminder to everyone online, if you have any questions at all, can you please type it into the Q&A, because I will be coming to the questions section shortly. Okay, so how to enter. In terms of entering, you just need to head to gbea.com.au and you create a login. You're able to save your entry and come back to it as you go. But I do really recommend that you actually save your entry in a Word document and copy and paste the answers into the online entry. It's just really good to have a backup in case the internet fails or something like that. Now, the review service, as Simon mentioned, is open to all first-year entrants of the program, and also businesses or individuals who have never been a finalist to the program. And what that means is that you're able to submit your entry early in a Word document to gbea@geelongchamber.com.au. We then send your entry to a review judge who will read your application, and then they're going to give you feedback on how you can improve the entry before you formally submit. So I really encourage you to use that service. And that service opens on the 2nd of June and it closes on the 4th of July. So you will receive your feedback in time for you to then formally submit online by the close date. The close date for the awards is the 14th of July at 4 p.m. And I really encourage you not to leave it to the last minute. I have seen entrants leave it to the last minute to submit. And in some cases, some businesses have missed out. So all that hard work, make sure you enter early. So as I mentioned, the review service closes on the 4th of July and the actual online entries close on the 14th of July at 4 p.m. We are conducting site visits. So if you are lucky enough to be shortlisted as a finalist, we will conduct a site visit between the 14th of August and the 13th of September. Now that site visit could be at one location of your business premises. If you're a sole trader, it could be held at a cafe, or it could be held even at the Geelong Chamber of Commerce. So it's really a place of your choice. For our individual entrants, the interviews will take place on one day only, which is on the 11th of August 2023. And a key date to put in your diary is the 19th of October. So this will be the date of the presentation event. It will be held at Geelong Cats Higher Mark from 6 p.m. And for those entrants who are lucky enough to become a winner, we will be hosting a winners cocktail function on the 31st of October. And that will be a really great way to mix with all the other winners of the program and also the sponsors. Okay, so I'll open up to some questions. I believe our chair of judging will be leaving shortly, so Rob is available to answer any questions. The first question I've been asked is, are you giving us this recording? So yes, absolutely. We will be giving a recording sent to you after today's session, which will be really helpful, no doubt. And I'll just see if there's any other questions to come through. Okay, so whilst we're waiting, what I might do is I will actually show how to actually enter online. But before I head into that, Jess, I wouldn't mind you sharing to everyone how you've utilised winning the award from a PR perspective.
Well, firstly, if you're not a member with the Chamber of Commerce, I'd strongly advise doing that. Small membership fee once a month. You catch up with everybody else within the commerce and who's a member. It's like-minded businesses. Being a business owner can be very lonely, and getting involved with a community with like-minded businesses has been extremely pivotal in visibility for me. So the PR perspectives in visibility, not only from the After 5 network, but with the awards process in itself has been fantastic. I've had exposure across several media with my involvement in the awards every year as well. And that's only strengthened my position as a business in what we do as well. So that's been fantastic, leveraging and strength within our community as well.
Thank you, Jess. Rob, I have a question for you. A question from Liz. Would you like responses written in the first or third person?
That's a bit of an interesting one. It probably makes no difference whatsoever. The only thing I always say about when you're putting an entry in is show us your passion in your business. Because I think when the judges are reading it, you can read the passion. If someone wants to write things in there and you can actually, it's almost like smiling on the telephone when you're actually listening to someone, you can actually tell. And so realistically, it makes no difference. But, you know, we just like to see the passion in your answers and actually what you're actually writing in your application.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Okay, I'll just wait for some more questions to come through. Okay, well, while we're waiting, at the moment you can see the GBEA website. I'll actually just quickly go through how you actually enter, and that may prompt you to ask some more questions. So what we do is we head to awards and click enter. And the first step is to create your login. And that's really easy to do. You just type in your first name, your last name, business name, your email address, and therefore you create a password. You'll notice on this page, we actually have a download of the business entry criteria. So you can actually view the questions offline. And in that booklet, we have written down all the tips that was shared in today's session. So I really recommend you have a look at that document. Okay, so if you already have a login, you click login, and this will take you to the 3 different business criteria. You can either enter as a business, the individual award, which is the young entrepreneur, or the business leader. Now, you may choose to enter all 3, and if that's the case, you'll need to submit 3 different entries. But for the purpose of today, we'll just look through the business entry as an example. So we click into business entry, and at the start, we just have some general information. We encourage you to use the review service, etc. And this is where it starts. So you include your basic entrant details, including when your business was established. You provide us details of where the site visit would be conducted and who will be the main point of contact. We also ask you to provide us with your website address and your social media links. It's really important to point out that the judges will not be referencing or looking at your website at all or your social media platforms. This information is purely for the awards team. It just makes our job a little bit easier that when we announce you potentially as a finalist, that we can easily tag you for marketing purposes. We also require information like who is the person that will be accepting the award. This section here, we're asking you to select the award categories that you would like to apply for. And as I mentioned earlier, apply for as many as possible. Okay, this is the business summary section. Now, the business summary is used for marketing purposes, so it's really important that the information you put in this section is information that you're comfortable for the awards team to use for media releases, social media, our website, etc., and even on the awards night. And this is the only section that I'm personally allowed to look at. We also require you to upload your logo, your team photo and logo. And this is where the criteria commences. So for example, this one here is about business achievements. It's a mandatory field with the red mark. You can type in your answers. And you can also upload files as well. We have a tips section, so we give you ideas on how you can answer that particular question. Here we've mentioned that the remainder of the questions, you need to refer to the response period from the 1st of April until the 31st of May, 2023. So that goes into all the different criteria. And you'll notice that the mandatory questions have a red mark, so it's really important that you respond to them. You'll notice with the finance section, it's not mandatory to complete the table. However, it does assist the judges to understand that you have an excellent understanding of your financial position. So it's not mandatory to complete this. And then a few basic questions at the end in terms of how did you hear about the awards, etc. You can save your entry and then you can officially submit it. So I really hope that by me going through this, that really helps to understand the process. Okay, so I have a question here, Rob, from Jessie. Jessie has said, 2 of my businesses have been nominated. Do they need to be separate entities or combined?
A bit of an interesting one, really, because if they're separate ABNs and they've got separate businesses, they would have to be actually entered as 2 separate businesses. But if they're sort of combined and you've got combined staff and the combined P&Ls and all that type of stuff, you'd really probably have to put them in as one. But really, I think, because you've got to separate them from like who does marketing and who does each item. So I think in that case, the way that question's, I suppose, worded, I'd say you'd have to actually enter them as 2 separate businesses if you wanted to do 2 actually entries.
Jessie, congratulations, by the way, in getting 2 businesses nominated. That's a great effort. So I hope that clears it up. If you're still unsure, please shoot me through an email and I'll send you through a formal response. The next question I have, if I am the sole employee in my company, do I enter as a business or an individual? And I can answer that for you. So there are 2 different types of awards. There's a business award and an individual award. So even if you're a sole trader and you're operating a business, you can still enter the business award because there is a category in there for home based or micro businesses, and that includes sole traders. So however, if you believe that you would like to go for a business leadership award, which focuses on the leadership element, or the young entrepreneur, which is really entrepreneurial achievements, then absolutely you're welcome to enter those individual awards. There's another question here. Is there a cost to enter the awards? No, it doesn't cost at all to enter a submission to the awards. If you are lucky enough to be shortlisted as a finalist, there is a cost involved in terms of attending the awards presentation night. Okay. Jess, is there any other comments that you would like to make at all for our audience?
I think it's fantastic to dive down deep into your business. Year on year that I've applied, I've just learned so much about the growth of my people, understanding my target market, going into my finances, which was not my strong point to start with, but I've made that my thing now. So I think fantastic support network to get involved with. You've got a group of people that you can rely on. And lastly, the feedback that you'll get from the judges after entering into these awards is, for me, has been absolutely pivotal in entering this awards process. Again, in giving me a roadmap moving forward about identifying my strengths and recognising how we can do better. So good luck to you all, and I look forward to meeting you.
Excellent. Rob, I do have another question that has come in. If I have great client results, but I'm not making a profit yet, is it worthwhile entering?
Absolutely. I think actually one of the best things I think we all do in our business is sit down and actually work on it and sort of not in it. So I think even just filling out the actual the awards sort of application, going through it well and truly worthwhile entering. So yes, I'd say definitely yes.
Excellent. Wonderful. Thank you so much for making the time to be part of today's webinar. You may walk away from today and you might have many questions. And if that's the case, I encourage you to reach out and contact the awards team. Thank you so much to Jess and Rob and Simon for being part of today. Thank you for being wonderful ambassadors of the program. I wish everyone all the best. And I guess my biggest tip of advice is to please start the entry process early. All the best, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.